The night was thick with a fog that clung to the windows of the old, creaking house nestled at the edge of Willow's End. Inside, the dim glow of a single candle illuminated the eager face of young Timothy as he scrawled his yearly letter to Santa Claus. The flame danced in his wide, innocent eyes, casting long shadows that seemed to reach and twist around the room like curious specters. His small hands worked diligently, penning each wish with the utmost care, unaware of the eerie stillness that had settled over the house. Timothy lived with his mother, a kind, weary woman who found solace in the laughter of her son. The house, with its peeling paint and groaning floorboards, was a relic left behind by a generation of family long since past. It was their sanctuary, albeit a haunting one, where the wind whispered secrets through the cracks in the walls, and the nights felt alive with unseen watchers. As Timothy sealed his letter with a hopeful kiss, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The sensation was fleeting, brushed away by the excitement of Christmas drawing near, leaving only the echoes of his laughter to fill the cold, silent rooms. Days passed, the letter sent, and life in the old house carried on, wrapped in the quiet anticipation of the holiday season. But the world outside their door seemed to grow darker, the nights longer, and a chill that wasn't entirely due to winter began to permeate the walls. Then, one morning, as the first light of dawn struggled to pierce the fog, a letter appeared on their doorstep. It was addressed to Timothy, in a handwriting that seemed to crawl across the envelope like tendrils of frost. The return address simply read, "The North Pole." With trembling hands and a heart swollen with joy, Timothy tore open the envelope, but the warmth of excitement quickly drained away, replaced by a creeping dread. The letter was not filled with jolly promises or festive cheer. Instead, it spoke in a tone that was cold and ancient, the words twisting in Timothy's mind like the roots of an old, gnarled tree. "Dear Timothy," it began, "Asterisk, your letter has reached me, but not the Santa you believe in. I am the one who comes when the belief in magic turns to fear, when the night grows heavy with the weight of unspoken wishes. You called to me, and now I have come." The letter promised a visit on Christmas Eve, not with gifts, but with a reckoning for the forgotten truths of the old winter rites. It was signed, chillingly, "The Real Santa Claus." The paper trembled in Timothy's hands, the words searing into his memory like a curse. His mother tried to laugh it off, suggesting it was a prank, but the fear in her eyes betrayed her. The house felt different now, the shadows seemed to move with purpose, and the cold was a living thing that breathed down their necks. As Christmas Eve approached, a palpable tension settled over Willow's End. Timothy's once bright anticipation turned to dread, each day marked by strange occurrences. Toys he had long outgrown moved on their own, appearing in places no one had left them. Whispers filled the house at night, a chorus of voices that seemed to mock their growing fear. On Christmas Eve, as the sun dipped below the horizon, surrendering the world to darkness, a heavy snow began to fall. The house was silent, save for the sound of their own breathing and the occasional creak and groan of the old structure bending under the weight of the unseen. Timothy and his mother huddled together by the fireplace, the flames casting eerie shadows that danced across the walls. The clock ticked away the minutes, each one stretching into eternity, until finally it struck midnight. The air grew colder, a frost spreading across the windows, obscuring the world outside. Then, from the chimney, came a sound that froze their blood, a low, guttural chuckle that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. The fire flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness, save for a faint, otherworldly glow that began to emanate from the chimney. Timothy's mother clutched him tight, her eyes wide with terror, as the glow grew brighter, revealing the figure of a man, or what once might have been a man. He was tall, gaunt, with long, twisted limbs that seemed to unravel from the shadows themselves. His eyes were like deep, black pits, and where a jolly red suit should have been, there were only tattered rags that hung from his skeletal frame. A crown of antlers rose from his head, scraping against the ceiling as he moved with unnatural grace towards them. I am the real Santa Claus. His voice was like the cracking of ice, echoing around the room. You called to me, Timothy, and now I am here. The horror that unfolded was beyond comprehension. The creature spoke of ancient pacts and sacrifices, of a time when the night of Christmas was not a celebration of joy but a night of reverence and fear. He moved around the room, touching objects with his gnarled fingers, each one rotting and falling apart as he did so. His laughter filled the house, a sound that would haunt their dreams forever. But as quickly as the nightmare began, it ended. The creature vanished, leaving behind a cold that would not lift and a darkness that seemed to linger in the corners of their eyes. Timothy and his mother sat huddled together until the first light of dawn crept through the frost-covered windows. Christmas morning was a hollow affair, the joy of the day tainted by the horrors of the night before. They spoke little of what had happened, the memory of it hanging between them like a shroud. The letter, the one signed by the real Santa Claus, vanished, as if it had never been. But the fear remained, a constant reminder that some wishes are better left unmade, and some letters are better left unsent. In the end, the true horror was not in the visitation itself, but in the knowledge that the world was far older and stranger than they had ever imagined, and that some legends are born from truths too terrifying to comprehend. The old house at the edge of Willow's End stood as a monument to that night, a place touched by the darkness of the world beyond, where the laughter of a child once eager for Christmas morning now echoed with a note of something else, something that whispered of old, forgotten fears.